On November 17, 1972, an FBI investigation began to find out who fired the shot that killed Southern students Denver Smith and Leonard Brown. Several dozens of agents from across the country, including FBI agent Ted Jackson, flooded Baton Rouge. Jackson was in the bureau for a year and 9 months and remembers being moved from interviewing state troopers to the students.
And there were rumors that some of the troopers had a problem being interviewed by me because I was a brand new agent, and I'm interviewing these troopers, and this is 1972, and I felt there was some resentment, but it really didn't bother me. I was with the FBI. I was there to do a job, and whether you liked it or not, I didn't care.
The FBI quickly narrowed the suspects down to 9 sheriff's deputies who carried shotguns and were positioned near a palm tree during the confrontation. The 9 were asked to take polygraphs. 4 of them passed and 5 declined. A state grand jury was later set up to review the case. A grand jury is able to subpoena witnesses, hear testimonies under oath, and recall suspects. State Grand Juror Billy Batto, a 27-year-old at the time, sat alongside 11 other grand jurors.
They narrowed it down to like a line of deputies from the angle of the shots, I believe.
This group of deputies was determined by the local district attorney, and it was similar to the ones that the FBI thought were in a triangle from the administration building to the tree, as the area where the live shot came from. Battle remembers the deputies called to testify stuck with their accounts that they didn't fire the fatal shot or know who did.
I think they were trying to cover up for themselves, each one of them.
And they weren't budging.
Yeah, they kind of like was together. In other words, one of them knew what the other was going to say, and they all said the same thing.
Ultimately, the prosecutors did not come up with any new information in the grand jury that gave clear direction to the shooter's identity.
After thinking about it, I think they just went through the motions. But at the same time, they couldn't indict any one person because they didn't have enough evidence.
The FBI was set to close the case, but some officials weren't ready to give up. Stanley Pottinger, the top civil rights lawyer in the Department of Justice, feared that the state prosecutors might not have pushed hard enough, as had often happened with these kinds of cases in the South. He decided to give it a closer look with a federal grand jury.
It continues to this day to try to be a last ditch, in a sense, to find out if the state, which should have done a good job, let's see if they did a good job, and therefore there should be no indictment, or they were corrupt and they used political and bias reasons for not indicting. So we're going to look at that again.
Steve Mayo, a criminal attorney in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Baton Rouge, then assisted Jeff Wilden, an attorney from Washington, in analyzing the case's evidence.
He had several different pictures. And what he wanted me to do with him was we were going to lay those pictures out on these long library tables, which we did. He had blow-ups. He and I were trying to figure out together which gun fired the deadly shot.
After those efforts, one more deputy agreed to take a polygraph and passed. He said he saw a deputy close to him fire his shotgun, but thought he was just shooting tear gas. In the end, there was no witness who could clearly identify the shooter or say whether the shot was intentional or not. In the next story, the LSU Cold Case Project investigates how this tragedy continues to impact the Black community 50 years later. Maria Pham, LSU Manship School News Service.